Well, for movie reviews today, I am so pleased to welcome once again Andy Godfrey. Hello, Andy.
Hey Nathan, it's good to be with you on Valentine's Day of
Yeah,
all days,
Valentine's
and
Day.
feeling the love coming to you from Pure 247.
Yes, Friday the 14th, Valentine's Day. How's your Valentine's?
Well, it's still early in the morning, so we'll see if the postman brings anything. The old joke, it's an old joke, but I can never read my own writing when they come. So
Yeah, well, actually, you wrote about a little bit about that in our
I did
recent
like that
Pure
on
News, didn't you?
the trailer. Yeah. So what we're going to do, folks listening, because Nathan and I were talking off air, we're going to look at some new films that are out. We're going to look at some films to watch at home, and then I'm going to give you my top five films for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
My list will be totally different to everybody else's. I've seen several of these lists already from film critics and different movie websites and different people who write about films. So my list is going to be totally different.
Yeah, well, that's the great thing about movie reviews, isn't it? We've all got different preferences, but it'd be great to hear about some, I guess romances at Valentine's or good Valentine's Day
Yeah,
films.
romantic films. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll see where we
But
go.
I heard you've seen one new film at the cinema.
It's just one. I mean, my week has been absolutely chock a block. I promise you, next week we'll have more new films to review. Okay, including a new Marvel film, but we'll mention
Ah,
that in a minute.
cool.
So the one that I did see was a film that we highlighted last week called Love Hurts. This is actually set on Valentine's Day, hence it's been released this week. It's a revenge thriller. It's a comedy revenge thriller. So a couple of years ago, there was a film came out called Nobody, which I really loved. It was a film about an ordinary guy living an ordinary life until one day his house gets robbed, and we find out he used to be an SAS man, and he goes after the bad guys to get his daughter's necklace back that they've stolen in the raid. They picked up and stolen in the raid. I thought Nobody was an absolutely terrific film. This is by the same producers, Love Hurts. Stars Ki Wong Kwan, I've got to get that right, who, as a little boy, played Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. And he is an estate agent, but guess what? He's got a past where he was an SAS type. And guess what? There are bad guys. This time, the bad guy is his brother, who in the past has forced him to do some bad things for him. He's now trying to make amends, and some people are coming after him. And his brother's coming after him because he knows secrets about his brother, and his brother doesn't wants to make sure that his secrets are not going to be given away. It's a 15 certificate. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as Nobody, but it's the same team behind it. It's basically the same story, to be honest. But I quite enjoyed it. So that was what I did get to see. Now, as I say, next week, because my week's a bit lighter next week, we'll hopefully see some more films. Okay,
Yeah.
but let's talk about some films that are coming out today.
Mm.
In fact, this one's been out since Wednesday this week. Quite often, when a big film comes out now, normally films open on a Friday. But quite often, when a big film comes out, you will see that they kind of jump the curve and they put it out on a Wednesday to try and get extra box office. Everybody seems, so it's already made some money. But what is out today is the fourth Bridget Jones film. Now, Bridget Jones was a film in 2001 based on a romantic comedy book by author Helen Fielding. Basically, young girl living an ordinary life, falls in love, has lots of trials, misadventures. She gets married, she has a baby, and that's kind of where the first film ended. There have been two films since. We've now got a fourth film. And in this, Bridget Jones, played by Renée Zellweger, who was nominated for an Oscar in the very first film in 2001. She's on her own. Her husband has died, and she's raising a child on her own, and it's about the misadventures of motherhood. Hugh Grant stars in this, as he has done in all of the Bridget Jones films. So he's a very sort of typical Hugh Grant character, very British, stiff upper lip, but always putting his foot in it, kind of thing. And I mean, I wasn't a big fan of these films, basically because I'm not a big fan of rom-coms anyway. If you look at my book that I wrote, Confessions of a Christian Film Critic, there's chapters on horror and silent movies and westerns and Christmas movies. There is not one chapter on rom-coms. And that's because I really couldn't be bothered, if I'm honest, to write a chapter about rom-coms. But they're entertaining enough, and they've released it in the week of Valentine's Day deliberately. They've held it back for this week because it is a bit of a romantic rom-com. So, that might be a good film to go and see for Valentine's Day. Is Bridget Jones Mad About the Boy, and that refers to her son, not any romantic interest. So it's about a film about this single mother. I mean, I've seen the trailer, I've read up on it. It looks okay. But we'll see. As I say, I'm not really a big fan of those sort of films. Also out today, we've got a new Marvel film. And a Marvel film that comes in at under 2 hours, because it's 1 hour, 59 minutes, which is quite something for a Marvel film. So Captain America is out today. And Captain America is featured in quite a few previous Marvel films. He's tall and he's Superman-like, and he's got a shield that is impenetrable, and he's there to defend America against the evils of the world. And in this film, Harrison Ford plays the president, of America. I have to say, he'd probably make a better president than the one they've got. But sorry, I won't get into politics. So he plays, and he needs Captain America's help because there's an evil guy on the loose trying to spread a disease across America. So it's fairly topical. And it's a superhero movie from Marvel, and that's hitting cinemas. So a couple of years ago, we had, was it last year? We had the Oppenheimer Barbie Day, where people were going to see Oppen Barbie or Barbie Oppen on the same day. I did it. I must confess, I saw Barbie and then I saw Oppenheimer. Oh, no, the other way around. So people are talking about doing a Jones America Day. Go and see Bridget Jones and then go and see Captain America. Now, these are the only new films that are out this weekend. And the reason for that is that they are both so big. I mean, everybody else who's got films to bring out has decided we can't compete with Bridget Jones and we can't compete with Captain America. So if you're looking at your cinema listings, there are some really good films still in cinema. I mean, September 5, which I saw last week, this behind-the-scenes look at what happened in 1972 when terrorists killed 11 Israeli athletes in the Olympic Village. I mean, that's still in cinemas and it's garnering so much praise. I've seen one negative review and I've read loads of reviews of it. And I thought it was absolutely terrific. I thought it was a film well worth seeing. Also in cinemas, so while we're still on cinemas, this weekend, you'll find Pretty Woman has been re-released. Now, again, some people have a problem with the basic plot. It's about Julia Roberts plays a prostitute, Richard Gere hires her, but they end up falling in love and having a lovely romantic relationship. And again, I'm not a fan of it, but some people call it a classic, but it's back in the big screen. So yeah, some good films out. Dogman is still out, the animated cartoon about a policeman who has an accident and merges with his dog. That's been getting some very good reviews. People are really liking it. So again, that's another one on my list to see. But basically this weekend, you've got a choice of September 5, you've got Love Hurts, which I mentioned is the revenge thriller, Bridget Jones Mad About the Boy, and Captain America with Harrison Ford playing the President of America. And there are some, again, I've seen a bit of this film. I haven't seen it all, but some of the scenes I've seen set in the Oval Office, for example, it does look quite tense. It'll be a typical Marvel film. People will be fighting and flying around all over the place and bashing up buildings, and the White House gets destroyed. Well, I don't know how many times in action movies the White House has been destroyed, but it's quite a few. Probably most famously in Independence Day, when aliens destroyed the White House. So those are the films in the cinema, Nathan. I had a look to see what's available new at home, and I want to recommend one for all the family. Okay, so this came out a couple of years ago. It's called Super Pets. It's an animated film, and it is the American League of Justice, so Superman, Batman, these kind of people. It's about their pets. Superman has a dog, various other superheroes have got pets, and their pets have to go on an adventure to rescue their owners. And they've got, Super Dog, for example. Superman's he can fly, he can, and they club together and they go on a mission. I went into it thinking, oh, I'm not going to enjoy this. This is a real silly kids film. This is just a daft idea just made to make money. I actually came out quite enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. It's new on Netflix this weekend. And I really quite enjoyed it. Just, for because we're on Pure, we're looking for films that families can sit down and watch together, and absolutely super. It's a use certificate. What pets would you have? What pet would you have if you were Batman or Superman or whatever? And imagine you were in trouble and your pets had to get together to rescue you. So it's a proper fantasy, really good animation. I enjoyed it. And then another one that's new on Netflix this weekend is the latest Batman film. Now it's called The Batman. And in this, Batman is not really a superhero. He's more like he was in the original comic books back in the 30s, which is he's a detective with all the gadgets. So Batman really plays a detective in this, trying to solve a crime in Gotham City. And you've even got typical voiceover dialogue. You know, you've got him reading from his diary as a voiceover kind of thing. So again, the old thrillers used to have this, you know, a voiceover. You know, it was a dark night in Gotham City. It was raining, you know, but you don't hire me for the easy ones, you know. And it was, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was one of the best Batman films ever. So The Batman is out on Netflix this weekend. And then one more. So a couple of weeks ago, a very famous film director called David Lynch passed away. Now, David Lynch was known for making weird and wonderful films. I mean, way out there films. I mean, I don't know if you ever heard or saw Twin Peaks, the TV series. He made a sequel to that, called Fire Walk with Me. He made a film called Blue Velvet, which was a bit incomprehensible. He made a film called Eraserhead about an alien, which again is a bit incomprehensible. So he's known for making weird and wacky films. The most accessible of his films, and for me the best, and I have a box set with all his films in, but for me the best of his films was a film that came out in 1980, The Elephant Man. Now this is on iPlayer. It's based on a true story. Anthony Hopkins is absolutely fantastic in the title role. I mean, he's under a ton of makeup, grotesque makeup, with a hunchback and unable to walk properly. And at the start of the film, he's a circus freak, you know. Come and see the Elephant Man. Roll up, roll up. Come and see the freakish Elephant Man. By the end of the film, he's been accepted into polite society and even met the royals. And he's become quite a celebrity. And it's become quite a thing to meet the Elephant Man, you know. And it's based on a true story. It's a very touching film. It's a PG certificate, most accessible of all David Lynch's films. I find it compelling. It was shot in black and white. And it is just one of those films that will endure. It will keep coming back to it again and again. I go back to it on a fairly regular basis. It was made in 1980 because I happen to think it's just a classic. So 3 to watch at home, one for the family, Super Pets. One, if you like your superheroes, The Batman. Don't get confused with Batman. It's The Batman. And then from David Lynch, who, as I say, sadly died a few weeks ago, this very famous well-known director, Elephant Man. So watch that. That's good.
Yeah, lots of good films in. So that's a few at home. Definitely a couple to watch as a family. And a couple, I guess, will be competing in the cinemas. The new Bridget Jones and Captain America. Is it Brave New World is the name of that one?
Yes, it is. Yeah, well done. Yeah,
I think I have seen a couple of trailers of it.
Yeah, I mean, the trailers these days, as we've often said, give away too much. But I didn't think that trailer was too bad.
No, only just a few of the more action-packed scenes.
Yeah.
So it definitely looks like a typical Marvel film. Lots of action, lots of explosions, lots of destruction. But yeah, good fun.
I think Harrison Ford will be particularly good as the president.
Yeah, I mean, he's played the president a couple of times, hasn't he?
He has. Can you think of the other film that he was in?
Was it Air Force One?
Fantastic. We'll make a film critic every year.
Yes. So, do you want to move on to some romantic films then for Valentine's Day?
Well, today is Valentine's Day. I'm eagerly awaiting the arrival of the postman. My problem is I can never read my own writing. Boom, boom, the old joke, which I did put in my article in the Pure newsletter. But then the old ones are the best. So I picked 5 films, Nathan, for Valentine's Day. So if people are, wanting a romantic evening in tonight, maybe you're cooking a nice romantic meal or having a nice romantic dessert, and you fancy cuddle up and watching a film, I put them in order that I would watch them. So we're going to go from 5 to 1.
Okay.
And hopefully people will. I mean, my list is going to be completely different to everybody else's. Okay, so I've seen lists of films for Valentine's Day. Some of these are in most of the lists, some of them aren't. This is my personal preference. Okay, so and they're all available widely to stream. Okay, so first of all, at number 5, I've gone for Brief Encounter. Celia Johnson and Trevor Howard, 1945, black and white film. A couple who literally have a couple of married people who literally have a brief encounter and fall in love. It's based on a script by Noel Coward, of all people, and it is one of the most there's a famous scene where she's in the train. This is no spoiler really, but she's in the train and he's on the platform and they're trying to talk to each other and the train's pulling out the station and you're weeping because are they going to get together or aren't they? It's a very moving sort of weepy type film, but it's a very romantic film, Brief Encounter. And that train station is Waterloo Station, I think, where they filmed it. So I've gone for Brief Encounter 1945. Number 4, I've gone for Notting Hill. Now, we mentioned Julia Roberts a moment ago. Hugh Grant plays a bookshop owner in Notting Hill in London. Julia Roberts plays an actress. There you go. She should be quite good at playing an actress, shouldn't she? She plays an actress, a world famous actress, who comes in and the two of them fall in love. And nobody can believe that Hugh Grant is going out with this world famous celebrity, especially when he takes her home to his family. It's quite a good scene where he takes her home. That's an actress. What's he doing with her? Written by Richard Curtis, who did 4 Weddings and a Funeral, which could have counted as a Valentine's Day film, I guess. And it is just funny. It is entertaining. Hugh Grant plays the sort of typical awkward British person put in an awkward position, gets embarrassed by everything. But I really like Notting Hill. I think that's a good one. And then I've gone back in time for the next 2, really. So for number 3, I've gone for Casablanca. Ingrid Bergman and Humphrey Bogart in Casablanca, which is, we know, in Africa in World War II. They'd had a relationship. It hadn't worked out. She'd gone off in Paris. They'd met in Paris. They'd had a relationship. She'd gone off. He ends up running a bar in Casablanca. And you get this very famous line when she walks into the bar. Of all the bars in all the world, she had to walk into mine. So that's where that line comes from. Also, famously, you get the line, "Play it again, Sam," comes from Casablanca as well. It's got a bit of a heart-tugging ending because for the sake of the war effort, they have to part again. And he looks at them and he says, "But we'll always have Paris." And I must admit, when I was in Paris recently, I was thinking of this film. We'll always have Paris. So Casablanca is again, it won't feature on a lot of people's lists, but it's a great love story. It's a great heart-tugging love story with a surprising ending that you don't really expect. So I've gone for Casablanca. And then at number 2, I've gone for, and it might seem a bit obvious, this one actually, but I've gone for Love Story. Love Story, from which the famous music comes. Where do I begin to tell the story of I'm not going to sing it, Sweeter Love. Love Story is a film about a couple who fall in love but face unsurmountable obstacles, including the fact that she becomes very, very unwell. And, so Love Story is just a lovely film, great music. I think the soundtrack for me is probably the best thing about it, but it's a romantic weepy again. So, if you're in the mood for weeping, go for it. Now, this final one, number 1 in my list of films for Valentine's Day, I haven't seen this on any other list. And when I was with some members of my film group on Monday in London, and I ran past them the idea of Valentine's Day films. None of them suggested this, but when I said I was going for it, they were kind of like, "Oh, yeah, okay." So it also happens to be one of my top 5 films of all time. And again, you'll see it in the book. I've gone for La La Land. La La Land. Now, La La Land is a jazz musical. Some great songs in La La Land. Absolutely great music. The soundtrack is exceptional. And I actually have a cardboard cutout on my stairs of the famous pose of Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone dancing on the Hollywood Hills. I was in a Tesco store when it came out on DVD, and there's this big cardboard cutout in which the DVDs were in a little shelf. And I said to the manager, "What do you do with that when when you stopped selling the DVD, I always said we throw it away. I said, no, you won't. I've got it on my staircase. La La Land is a film about two people who fall in love. She wants to be a famous actress. He wants to own his own jazz nightclub. As I said, some great songs. Another Day of Sun. My favourite is A Lovely Night, which was filmed actually on the Hollywood Hills in natural light over the course of 2 nights. It's a fantastic sequence. Check it out. All of the songs would be suitable for Pure 247 if you're looking for films for movies. I mean, I absolutely love La La Land. So she wants to be a famous actress. He wants to own his own jazz nightclub, but they fall in love. Now, for those who haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil the ending. I saw it 6 times at the cinema when it came out. And then I travelled to Birmingham to see it in the Birmingham Symphony Hall, where there was a live orchestra providing the score as the film played. So that's how much I love this movie. My family hate it. My best friend down here says, she hates it. You never hear any songs from La La Land on the radio. I said, yes, you will. You'll hear them on Pure next week. So, it has a most surprising ending. The ending, again, is not what you expect, but the message of the film is that even in La La Land, even in Hollywood, some of your dreams might come true, but you can't have everything. Some dreams come true, but not every dream. And it's up to you to choose where your priorities in life lay. And these two end up making decisions. The tagline of the film was, here's to fools that dream. And that's actually a line from one of the songs. Here's to fools that dream. La La Land won 6 Oscars. It should have won Best Picture, but it didn't. There was a famous mistake made on Oscar night. I don't know if you remember, whoever was presenting the award, Faye Dunaway was one of them, that's right. She got up and she said, she opened the envelope, she said, the winner of the Best Picture award is La La Land. And all the La La Land went up on stage to collect the Oscar. Turned out she'd been given the wrong envelope. The actual winner was a film called Moonlight, which is a dour, moody. Oh, I know people who love it. I didn't love it. It's a dour, moody film about a black lad in America growing up with all the various problems he's got. But that was actually the winner, although La La Land was announced as the winner. In fact, the director of La La Land stepped forward and he said, look, I'm holding the Oscar, but they've been given the wrong envelope. And he got the people from Moonlight to come up on the stage. It's one of the most famous moments in Oscar history. The wrong envelope, the wrong result was announced. But it did get Best Director. Emma Stone got Best Actress. It got Best Musical Score, and it got Best Song. And it got Best Picture at the BAFTAs, the British equivalent of the Oscars. So I love La La Land. It is a film that makes you think. It's a film about two people falling in love, but having to question ultimately where their priorities lay. Which dream, if you've got 2 dreams, one is to be together, one is to be successful in your chosen walk of life. You can only have one. Which one do you go for? That's the question the film asks. And it opens with a great number called Another Day of Sun, which features the guy who plays Matthew in The Chosen, actually, in that opening sequence. So there you go. Those are my 5 films for Valentine's Day. Brief Encounter, 1945. Notting Hill, Hugh Grant and Julia Roberts falling in love. Casablanca, wartime romantic epic. Love Story, bit of a weepy from 1970 with a great soundtrack. And La La Land, which also has a great soundtrack, great performances. A lot of my friends and my family didn't like it. I love it. I love it. And I think it would be a perfect one for Valentine's Day evening.
Yeah.
There you go.
Excellent.
And I'd probably by next week I'll have seen a few more films.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Andy. Loads of great films for Valentine's Day, I think. And it looks as though a musical or 2, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, La La Land is jazz music, so it's not to everybody's taste anyway. But if you're a jazz fan, you're going to love the score, you're going to love the songs. I love the story, I love the performances. Yeah, musicals, as you say. And Love Story certainly got a fantastic and very famous score. So those are the ones to go for, folks.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Andy, for bringing us today's movie reviews. A couple in cinemas coming out over the weekend, and there's your 5 movies for Valentine's Day. One of which, as you mentioned, is in fact in your top 5, which do appear in your book, Confessions of a Christian Film Critic. Do check that
Yeah,
out.
I shamelessly plugged the book. I'm sorry.
No, no, it's good. It's good. It's a great film, a great book, and it does cover a lot of these different genres, as you say,
Yeah.
but not rom-coms, even though
No,
that one is in the top 10.
we'll have to do a rom-com chapter in the next book, I think.
Yeah.
So the next book, if anybody's interested, I've started it. It's going to be an A to Z of Faith on Film,
Okay.
and probably R will stand for rom-coms.
Fair enough. Well,
Okay,
thank you so
right.
much, Andy. A pleasure to speak to you as always. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you, Nathan, and you. Everybody have a great Valentine's Day. God bless.